Welcome to Daily English Room. Today's topic is sports. Do you play sports regularly?
Yes, I try to stay active despite my busy schedule. I go to a ladies-only gym 3 times a week where I participate in group fitness classes. I also play tennis with my husband on weekends when we can arrange childcare. It's become our special time together.
What is the most popular sport in your country?
Without a doubt, football is the most popular sport in Morocco. Since our national team's success in the World Cup, its popularity has reached new heights. You can see children playing football in every neighborhood, and matches are major social events. But what's interesting is how it's becoming more inclusive. More women and girls are now playing and following football too.
What's your favorite sport?
Tennis is my absolute favorite sport. I started playing after getting married, and now it's become a wonderful way to stay active and socialize. What I love most about tennis is that it's both mentally and physically challenging. As a teacher, I appreciate how it helps me maintain focus and quick decision-making skills.
Do you often watch sports on TV?
I watch football matches, especially when Morocco's national team is playing. Since the World Cup, my whole family has gotten into the habit of watching matches together. It's become a valuable teaching tool too. I often use sports broadcasts to help my students practice their English listening skills.
Do you prefer playing sports or watching them?
I enjoy both, but for different reasons. Playing tennis gives me personal satisfaction and helps me stay active, which is important as a teacher who needs to keep up with energetic students. Watching sports, especially with my children, creates valuable teaching moments about teamwork and perseverance. If I had to choose, I'd say playing, because it helps me be a better role model for my students.
Are there any sports you don't like? Why?
I have a hard time with extreme sports like skateboarding or BMX. As a mother and teacher, I'm probably overly conscious of injury risks. While I admire the athlete's skills, I get anxious watching these high-risk activities. I prefer sports where the challenge comes from strategy and technique rather than physical danger.
How do you think sports contribute to mental health and emotional well-being?
As both a teacher and mother, I've observed how sports help children develop emotional resilience. When children learn to handle winning and losing in sports, they develop coping mechanisms that serve them well in other areas of life. I've particularly noticed how team sports help my more introverted students build confidence and social skills. It's not just about physical exercise, it's about creating a safe space for emotional expression.
What role should sports play in promoting public health?
As an educator, I believe schools should be at the forefront of using sports to promote public health. In Morocco, we're seeing more initiatives combining traditional games with health education. I teach my students about nutrition alongside physical activities, and I've noticed they're more likely to share this information with their families. However, we need more resources, especially in rural areas, to make sports facilities accessible to all communities.
How do you think the relationship between sports and education should be balanced?
As both a teacher and a mother, this question is particularly relevant to me. I've seen how physical education can improve students' concentration and academic performance. In Morocco, we're trying to change the mindset that sports are a distraction from studies. I incorporate movement breaks in my English lessons, and I've noticed it helps students retain information better. However, we need better infrastructure and training to properly integrate sports into education.
How has social media changed the way people engage with sports?
Social media has made it easier for my students to connect with international sports culture. They follow their favorite athletes on Instagram and learn English through their posts. As a teacher, I use sports-related social media content in my lessons. However, I also have to teach critical thinking skills because social media can create unrealistic expectations about athletic achievement.
How do most people in your country keep fit?
In Morocco, fitness habits are evolving. Traditional hammams, public baths, have always been part of our health culture, but now we're seeing more modern gyms, especially in cities like Fez. Walking is very common, particularly in the Medinas, old cities, with their narrow streets. Women-only gyms are becoming popular, making it easier for women to exercise while respecting cultural norms. Young people often organize group sports in neighborhood courts or fields.
How have traditional sports in your country adapted to modern times?
In Morocco, traditional horseback riding sports like Fantasia are now being preserved through annual festivals and tourism events. While they were once part of military training, they've become cultural showcases that attract international visitors.
What impact do you think virtual reality will have on sports in the future?
VR could make sports more accessible to my students, especially those with physical limitations. They could experience different sports and learn techniques safely before trying them in reality.
How do you think sports facilities in cities should evolve to meet future needs?
Fez needs more family-friendly sports facilities. I envision centers where parents can exercise while their children participate in age-appropriate activities. Also, we need more women-only spaces respecting our cultural preferences.
What role should sports play in addressing social issues?
Sports can be a powerful tool for promoting gender equality in Morocco. When my female students see successful women athletes, it challenges traditional limitations and opens new possibilities.
How can sports events become more environmentally sustainable?
Morocco hosted several sporting events that used local, sustainable materials for temporary facilities. We should continue this practice and add water conservation measures.
Tell me about a memorable sports event you attended or watched. What made it special?
The most memorable sports event for me was watching Morocco's national team in the 2022 World Cup. My whole family gathered at my parents' house, along with neighbors and friends. The atmosphere was electric. Every time our team scored, the entire neighborhood would erupt in cheers. We were dressed in national team jerseys, and my mother cooked traditional Moroccan dishes for everyone. What made it truly special wasn't just the historic performance of our team, but how it brought together different generations. My father was telling stories about watching Morocco play in the 1970s, while my children were learning our traditional football chants. It became about so much more than just football. It was a celebration of our culture and unity.
What's the most unusual or interesting sport you've ever tried? How was that experience?
As a teacher and mother, I'm usually quite cautious, so everyone was shocked when I tried parkour. It happened during a teacher training workshop about engaging students in physical education. The instructor was a professional parkour athlete who specialized in teaching beginners. At first, I was terrified. Jumping between obstacles and climbing walls seemed impossible for someone like me. But they started us with basic movements, teaching us how to fall safely and move efficiently. The most surprising thing was how it changed my perspective on urban spaces. Now when I walk through Fez with my children, we see the city differently. Stairs become opportunities for movement, walls become challenges to overcome safely. I've even incorporated some modified parkour movements into my physical education classes, especially for students who don't enjoy traditional sports. It's amazing to see how it builds confidence, especially in girls who might be hesitant about sports.
If you could create a new sport that combines elements from your culture and profession, what would it be like?
I'd create what I call language league, a sport that combines traditional Moroccan children's games with language learning. As an ESL teacher and mother, I see how movement helps children remember new words and concepts. Players would move through a course inspired by our Medina's winding streets, performing different linguistic tasks at each station. For example, they might play hopscotch while conjugating verbs, or do our traditional jumping rope games while building sentences. I'd incorporate elements from our Moroccan heritage, like using geometric patterns from our mosaics to organize playing zones. Teams would score points for both physical performance and language accuracy. The beauty of it is that it could be adapted for any language. I've already tried a simplified version with my students, and it's amazing how much better they retain vocabulary when it's combined with movement.
Tell me about a time when sports helped you overcome a personal challenge or difficult situation.
As a mother and teacher in Morocco, I faced a significant challenge when trying to return to work after having my second child. I was feeling overwhelmed, trying to balance my teaching career with family responsibilities, and honestly, I was struggling with postpartum depression, though it took me a while to recognize it. A colleague suggested joining her women's swimming group, and though I was skeptical at first, finding time seemed impossible, I decided to try it. The women's only swimming sessions at our local pool became my sanctuary. Swimming helped me reconnect with my body after pregnancy, and the rhythmic movement of the water had an almost meditative effect. But the most valuable part was the community of women I met there. Many were also working mothers, and we started sharing our experiences and supporting each other. One particular morning, after a rough night with my baby, I was ready to quit teaching. But during our swim, another mother shared her similar experience and how she got through it. That conversation gave me the strength to continue. Now, 5 years later, I not only continue swimming but have started a support group for working mothers at my school, and we often incorporate physical activity into our meetings.
Looking ahead 20 years, how do you hope sports will have evolved to make a positive impact on society and future generations?
In 20 years, I hope sports will have evolved to become a more powerful tool for education and cultural understanding. I dream of a future where every child, regardless of gender or background, has access to quality sports education. In Morocco, we're already seeing positive changes in attitudes toward women in sports, and I hope this continues globally. I envision sports programs that not only develop physical skills but also promote emotional intelligence, cultural awareness, and environmental responsibility. Perhaps we'll have international youth programs where sports serve as a universal language, helping children from different cultures learn from and understand each other.
That's all for today's daily English Room conversation practice. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, like, leave a comment, and hit the subscribe button. See you next time.